Hey, coaches, I recorded a Q&A session with a good buddy of mine, Todd Jolly from down in Florida. He had some questions on the Hitch-Boot concept. So we did a Zoom and I just recorded it and kind of edited a few pieces out. He had some really good questions and some just really good details on how to put the play together. It's a play we didn't run a whole lot the last 2 years because of the kid we had at quarterback was more of a pure pocket passer, but it's a play that in the past has been really good for us. And we think this coming few years is going to be really good for us because we got an athlete coming. So if you have an athletic quarterback, this is a really good, simple play to get you some good results. So you've been doing good. What we want to talk about Hitch-Boot tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of just let you lead the direction we go. You tell me what you want to know and we'll go through anything you want.
Okay. My stuff is a lot of really basic. I'm sure they're elementary basic questions that I cannot find answers to. And that is, we, at my level, this is my 6-year coaching, and I've never really done sprint out, roll out, nothing. It's just I've been learning, quick game, things like that. So last year, towards the end, we started flirting with rollouts with corner, and it was hugely successful. And I was looking at things on YouTube, and I'd seen your Hitch-Boot video before, and then it came up again. I was like, let me watch this a little bit closer. And then I started really studying it. And then I'm really curious about the footwork of the rollout. Why turning away? Does it have to do anything with, like, I've seen escape drills where if it's outside rush, they do that turn away. So I'm just wondering all that stuff. I'd like to learn why the turn away, why not, like, what are we trying to do? And I know those are really elementary questions, but that's what my first batch of questions is.
All right, so let me pull it up and we'll just talk through it one time. And then can you see that screen?
Yes.
All right. All right, so you see huddle now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I like all the sprint out stuff too in 7-on-7. But I don't like it in real life because it forces you to have some kind of sprint out protection, which I found very difficult. that you need a really good O-line coach and you need to spend a lot of reps on it. So the whole beauty of this thing is it's regular pass protection. You're not having to put in a sprint out protection. It's regular pass pro and your tailback sealing the edge and you're getting your quarterback out. So footwork, it's going to go, which I think I got all the numbers, but this one is always hitch first. Then it's the pivot, the cross, and the run. And obviously it works better when you have a athletic quarterback. I think we threw it 4 times this year because we just didn't have a quarterback who could get to the edge. When I had this kid, we threw it a bunch. Well, actually, this is this year's kid. But when I had an athletic quarterback, we would do this a bunch because we would just tell them green grass, haul tail. That's all we want out of it. But
right.
The beauty of it is you don't have to teach another pass protection, which I have found to be difficult. I know there's sprint guys out there that are good at it. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at teaching it. I don't have a good scheme for it. And even though I love the sprint out passes in 7-on-7, we just had trouble protecting it and getting it off. Yeah. So why the rollout is because he's popping his hips to throw this hitch. Hitch is number 1. And we tell him, heck, if we call this thing 10 times and he threw the hitch 10 times, we'd be happy. I mean, it is truly number 1. And we want him to throw it. We throw it as many times as you can. We're going to be completely satisfied if it came 10 out of 10 throwing the hitch. If the hitch is not there, now he pumps it and he boots out, Hitch-Boot. All right. So now it's a boot concept. and now you have this pivot. This number 2 guy will run a 5-step hitch, and he'll sit and he's looking at the quarterback. When he sees him pump and pivot, now he works flat to the sideline. The Z is on just a vertical takeoff, just clear, and this Y is coming across at 10, and that's like almost a waggle concept for wing T guys. We're not as good at it as they are, but that's a good combination. So let's watch it in slow motion. And you see what the crossing did to it. If this was just a regular, like this guy coming underneath him took the walk player away from the hitch. So it opened up the hitch for us. Right. You see what it does over there? Watch the walk player. I mean, he would have just been standing there in the way if that kid wouldn't have started on that crossing route. So we got the hitch, which is what we want anyway. Now, if it would have gone boot, which this guy's acting a little lost here, probably because we only threw it 4 times, but he should be sitting right there. And then if the quarterback boots out, now he works to the sideline, and he would have been wide tail open right there. This guy was just clearing anyway. Let's see if they picked up the cross. I think they probably would have had 2 guys covering the cross, so that wouldn't have been there. But this pivot route would have been wide open, running to the sideline right here. So one more time. So we want the hitch every single time, but the hitch was there, or this pivot, if run correctly, this pivot would have been standing right here wide open. So that's in my mind, we're just wanting easy completions. That's what the game's about, is easy completions. So we got 1, 2, 3 chances for easy completions. And then if you got an athlete at quarterback, you got the best completion of them all, because now he's going to hit the edge. I mean, think about if you had an athletic quarterback, the edge is completely sealed right here. So if he boots out of there, he's got green grass. If you got an athlete, it's green grass hauled, and you're going to get a bunch right there.
Right.
All right. So that should answer. That answers the why he's gonna pump it and then boot out of there, and because he's doing this, he should be getting enough depth away from the line of scrimmage. That's the other thing, is you don't want him too close to the trash right here.
So he's really opening himself up to that. He's not like trying to like come back and say, "Oh, I'm looking at the whole field." He's coming back, opening to that corner.
He's popping his feet to throw the hitch right now. He wants to throw the hitch, and you got to keep re-emphasizing, we're happy if you throw the hitch every single time. We're happy. Right. But if it's not there, now you don't force it. Now you pump it, wheel out of there, and now pivot, cross, run. And if you got a real stud at quarterback, you can pivot out there and go run, pivot, cross. I mean, you can, if you want the ball in his hands, which we had a kid a couple of years ago, we might have one this year where we like the ball in his hands. Go ahead and run that thing. If it's green grass, you've got a green light, go. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, we just started flirting with, we didn't really know what we were doing. So we didn't have any type of sprint out protection either. We just had our running back seal off the edge. That was because it was a halftime adjustment.
Right.
So and then it started working, and then we did it to the last game as well. So it was really working out for us. And
the problem is when they start, like, this is just one backer in the box, but when they have 2 backers in the box, one of them becomes a scrape and one of them becomes a cover guy. And how do you handle that scrape? If your tailback is in charge of this one, if he's sealing the edge, basically you're saying you got the end, then you got no one on the scrape, and a good linebacker is scraping across and knocking the hell out of your quarterback, and you don't have anyone to get them. So that's where as they get used to it, as they start scouting it and start preparing for the play, their answers, they got more people than you got a lot of times for that protection. And look, I'm saying this, I'm admitting I don't teach it well. I don't teach sprint protection well. I'm sure there's guys out there that got all the answers. I just never did. So I like sprinting, but I don't like protecting it. And with this Hitch-Boot concept, which we stole it from Tony DeMaio, you don't have to, it's regular protection. You don't have to have anything else.
Right. That's why I liked. That's why I liked it, because I was looking up stuff online. I was seeing moving pockets and pulling, and I was like, I don't want to get all that, and it didn't look like you were doing any of that. So that's why I was intrigued by it, because I was like, I would like to put something in that attacks the boundary and gets movement, because I think, especially at our level, it was really cleared out. I don't know if we ever had a scraper, because they're all looking at the flat. They're all looking at, because we hit them with corner a couple times, and then after that, no one's protecting that wide side flat area. They're just not, at least for us. And I was figuring like that would be good. I just couldn't figure out, like, why is he turning his back to the line? That's the thing that was kind of tripping me out.
That's mainly for depth, just to get
Right.
him away from the line of scrimmage. I'm trying to get back to the original. I might have just erased it by accident. No, there it is. So it's
And when
progression. It's 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. There's a progression to it, but we're wanting to throw that hitch every time. And you're probably like me. I know you guys got a lot of talent down there. That receiver who just caught the hitch is our best. That's our best receiver, and he's in space right now. Let's see what he does with it. So it was a I don't know, 8-9 yard gain. He made 2 guys miss, almost broke it. And this was a really good defense. This is the second round of playoffs. This is a really good defense, but we're getting an easy completion to our best guy and basically having him in space right there. And we're forcing them to cover the whole field, because if they're thinking cover wide side, they're in trouble. So it was just simple. When I saw it, I fell in love with it. Like I said, I stole it from Tony DeMaio, and he's an option guy. He's a genius, and but it was just so simple and attack the width of the field.
Yeah.
And when you gotta, for him, he has an option quarterback, so of course they want to keep the ball in his hands. But when we have an athlete, we really like it. This will be a much bigger play for us this year than it was last year.
Right, and you'd mentioned that in the other video too. And now, when you say you only threw it 4 times, do you mean you only rolled out 4 times, or did you only call this play
We
4
only
times?
called it 4 times because of the person we had at quarterback. He was a true air raid drop back kid. He was not an athlete at all. He was he had a good arm, good vertical route guy. He was tall. He could see everything, but he was not going to take it to the edge and scare anybody.
Right.
And that's the only reason we didn't call it more. Right. And that might be my mindset, that, when we were really good at it is when we had an athlete back there. And maybe my mindset was, this ain't a good play for us this year.
Right. Yeah, and I'm
I
wondering about
know,
that, because
when he was on JV, he would get sacked every time we called it. They would chase him down from behind and tackle him.
so I mean, get sacked, is that just because they take away the hitch?
Yeah, he would. They would sit on the hitch, and he would boot out of there, and everything would look fantastic. But like the backside defensive end or something would chase him down from behind and tackle him, and that happened. I don't know, probably 5 times on JV. He played JV his freshman and sophomore year. So I guess in my mind, I had it, well, this ain't a good play for him. And it wasn't, because he was a true drop back guy, and he could do some damage with the vertical routes. So we didn't need this one. But this coming year, we got a lot better athlete, and I think he's going to eat this one alive.
Cool. So I guess my other question is drilling that and practicing that, like how, and again, now I understand the turn away. And then to my second question earlier was, does that have anything to do with some of these escape drills that I see where they're turning away from the line? And I guess the answer to that escape drill is to build space between the defense. That's the whole purpose of whenever the quarterback turns away.
Yeah, it was just to gain depth. Let me see if I got one where no, he's throwing it.
Yeah, if that guy misses,
Yeah, no, I'm always a hitch is one tackle away from something nasty. I think we're back to the beginning. So I don't have any. I had some from a couple years ago, and I had one where he didn't boot out. He turned flat, and he was just
Yeah, I saw
the
that. Yeah.
pressure from the line of scrimmage just kind of screwed up the play a little bit. So the booting out is just to gain depth away from the line of scrimmage, so that he can see everything. And so that's all that was. And
Right.
that's the way that DeMaio did it. So that's the way that we taught it. And we didn't change on hardly anything on this play. We just did it exactly like he did it.
So
There's one
when,
right there. That's a hitch.
yeah,
So this was a couple years ago. Or this was 2 years ago, but this is just the example. There's a hitch that turns into a big play. I guess he stepped out of bounds right there, but it turned into a big play because you're one away. Here it is out of no, I thought that was 3-by-1, but here's another one. And just feeding that year, that was our best receiver. So just feeding it.
do you run it?
This is out of 2 tight ends. Same play. I mean, it's just nothing. There's nothing to it. It's just hitch is number one. If you can throw it every time, throw it every time. If you can't, then boot out of there. So that's all. The boot out was just to gain depth. What you see, this kid, all those clips are from the kid that's graduating this year, and he just wasn't a threat booting out.
Okay. Now when you practice it, now I know this is part of your quick game. So
Right.
do you practice this? Like, how do you practice this? Do you
On
practice
routes
the
on air,
rollout? Is it like,
routes on air. This play, we will throw the hitch, then we'll throw everything else. So you got two. We always have 2 quarterbacks.
mhm,
So the number one is going to throw the hitch, and then he's going to get another ball, and then everyone else is going to go. So now if they're standing right here side by side of these 2 quarterbacks in practice, now they're both going to pump the hitch. They're both going to boot out. This one is going to throw the pivot. This one is going to see the pivot, get thrown, and then he's going to throw the cross. So that's kind of a unique play. That's the only play we would do that different on routes on air. Usually routes on air, everyone's going at the same time, but on this one, we would throw hitch first and then everything else.
and when you run, do you run it out of early and late?
We do run it out. It's a great play out of we don't call it early and late. We just call it
Well,
slot,
I don't either, but
slot right.
I
So
always hate the sound
so
unorthodox.
nothing would change. So it would be vert, it would be pivot, and now this guy would run almost a sail route to put himself in the same position he would be if he was over here. He's just trying to get to the same spot. And this guy's on the hitch, and this guy and tailback still sealing. So virtually everyone's in the same spot. It's just, is he coming from 2-by-2 or is he coming from 3-by-1? But it's a great play either way.
We don't.
Especially versus some of them 2 high teams when they're they'll play 2 in the box and then put a walk out to the wide side or to the trip side. That it's now there's no walk player on the hitch side, so you're going to get hitched as much as you want until they man up on it, and then you're going to get verts.
Right. We don't see a lot of tight corners.
Mm-hmm.
It's middle school for that matter, but
Right.
Are there rules for how deep? Like if he comes up there and it's press, is he even going to pump it or is he just going to do something else?
He would, if they surprise us, he's going to just pump it and go to the rest of the progression. Once we know they're doing that, we're going to start calling vertical routes to that because we got guys that'll beat press coverage.